Hey, welcome back to the bench. Today we are going to be building some RAM sims. These are a kit from the Satanic Mac Club, and it doesn't necessarily have to be for a Mac, but you can use this in any old system with 30-pin RAM. Uh, you can take the chips from 72-pin RAM, certain compatible ones, of course, and use them on these PCBs. Why would you do that? Well, because 30-pin RAM is getting really hard to find, especially if you want to do 4 meg sims. So you can take 72 pin, 16 megabyte sims, which are way more popular and easier to find, desolder these chips, solder them onto here, add a couple capacitors, and an optional LED if you like to pimp out your retro PC. And now you got some 30-pin RAM. Pretty exciting stuff. So today we're going to make some Sims. Now, out of this one 16 meg sim, this one has parity chips at the bottom, but a lot of them wouldn't. Non-parity, you would just have the 8 chips, and that would be enough to make 4 of these 4 meg sims here. But with this, I can make an extra 2. So with this, both of these, I can make 12 30-pin sims out of these two by using these parity, because the parity on these are the same as the RAM chips, which you don't often see either. Normally, like 6 pins on either side, 24, whatever. Uh, Normally, the parity chips are missing a pin. There's 5 and 5 in groups, so I kind of lucked out with these. That means I just get to make more RAM with it. So, first thing we have to do is break all these extra pieces off. Use some pliers really carefully. Gets those off pretty easily. I'll go one at a time just because I don't want to damage things. These are a bit harder. And what you do is you just kind of get your fingers close to the crease and just slowly work it just a little bit. Don't go too crazy. And eventually it'll go. Nice and easy. Well, that one went pretty easy. So I've got 4 of these ready to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tin where the chips go with solder. And I'm going to tin where the capacitors go. There's one resistor as well. That's for the optional LED. I'm going to do one side only of each because it makes it easier for me to solder them on. For the chips, I will be removing them with hot air, and I'll also be installing them with hot air. That's the best, cleanest way to go. You can do it with a very fine tip soldering iron to install them, but removing them, you need hot air no matter what. And then I'll use my fine tip soldering iron just for the caps and resistors because they're so tiny, they just blow away with hot air. It's much easier that way. All right, I'm not going to use parity, so I'm not going to touch the parity. Oh, I'm forgetting the most important thing. That is flux. I just refilled this thing, so it's a little goopy. I'm going to use up all this flux that's excess from me overfilling this syringe here. A lot of flux is your friend. I'm going to use a lot of flux in this. and it's going to get sticky and messy, so I'll end up just rinsing these off with warm water and dish soap after to get rid of all the excess flux, and you won't even know it was there. You get the flux on there, just dab some solder and you kind of rub it back and forth, and the flux will make it perfectly stick to those pads. Okay, that one's ready to go. Again, we don't need this chip or this cap. That's optional. That's for parity, and none of the systems I am installing the stuff in will require parity RAM. Parity RAM isn't, it's a little bit faster than non-parity, but not a huge noticeable difference. It's more uh, reliability in that it helps with stability on your computer. Like if your RAM goes corrupt, with non-parity, the system will just crash immediately. With parity RAM, it actually will sense that corruption and correct itself to an extent. So you have a lot less system crashes. Now, I like to use this kitchen plate because, for starters, it's not the heat from the hot air is not wrecking that blue pad I use in the background, which I've wrecked enough as it is. That's for starters, and also the heat dissipates through the plate and actually will help prevent the chip or the PCB from warping from just heating like small spots. So it does a great job at that. So I'm just gonna dump a whole lot of flux on here. Oh, that's a lot. Lewis Rossman would be proud. This is, oh my god, that is a generous amount of flux. Not too much, not too little, just the right amount of flux. So let's get our hot air out. All right, here we go. These first couple are going to take a little while. It's the plate and the RAM. Pretty cold. All right, let's get these chips on. Put on a bunch of, actually, just want to put a little bit more solder on these. Just make sure. I don't want to be too, if they go too little, it won't seat right. If I go too much, you'll get shorts and bridging. So, and I'll put on some of the nicer flux. And here we go. So the chips have an indent on them that matches the front. Yeah. Hard to see with all this. I'll try and do this the best I can while you guys can see, but basically you line it up on the pads the best you can. It's never really gonna sit right because the solder kind of rounds the pads up a bit. So it's a balancing act. But you do, it's never gonna get right. What you do is you heat it up, and once the entire chip is warm enough, you got to keep watching. You can kind of catch it where the chip will actually wiggle. It'll straighten itself out and line itself up on its own with the pads to an extent. You still got to jiggle it a bit, tweak it, but the key is to get the whole thing uniformly warm. So you can do circular motions like this, kind of wave it back and forth, but don't focus in one spot at a time. You want to get everything nice and warm. You should see it kick over. So that's pretty damn straight and lined up. I'm just gonna gently press down on it. Another little heat, pull up, and that one should be good. We'll do the next one here. Should go a little bit easier now that the board is heated up as well. It should be a bit faster. And the plate's gonna help with that. And this one is really moving around, so the pads are quite lumpy. I might have a little bit too much solder on these pads. So I'll just do one on camera. The rest of them I'll do off camera just because it's repetitive. But as I let this cool down, there we go. We can now add 2 capacitors, a resistor, and I'm going to use the LED that came with this. All right. There's one tiny little 1 microfarad cap. There's one more. And there's a little 330 resistor. So if you recall, I put solder on one pad only. And that is so you can get these to sit nice and straight. So you heat the one side, get it soldered, and where you want it. Done. And here we'll do the same with the resistor. Done. And then now you can come back and just finish the other side. If you tin both pads, then it's going to sit all lopsided when you solder one side first. And if you try to heat it, it'll just kind of blow away. So that's the easiest way I find to do it. Now I've got it flipped over for the LED. The LED has a marking on the bottom, if you can see that, just barely it's green. And you just match the direction there with the silk screen on the PCB. Polarity, be quick with these because they're really easy to melt. It actually made it light up a little bit. Okay, and then we'll do quickie on this side. And that's done. There we go. We have a complete sim. It's probably too hot for me to touch right now. But now I'm going to take this and I'm actually going to put it in the kitchen sink. I'm not going to submerge it, but I'm going to run it under lukewarm water. And I'm going to use a toothbrush with Dawn dish soap and just scrub all this crap off of it, all the flux. And when I'm done with it, it'll look like brand new, like came from the factory. So these RAM chips cleared up pretty well after washing them with the soap. And now I'm just going to put them into this Macintosh Color Classic board here to do some testing. And we'll see how they go. Now the Color Classic's easier to test them in because I can do 2 at a time rather than 4 at a time like I'd have to do in an SE30 or a Plus or SE. So This way I can do a process of elimination easier if they're bad, and it looks like they're good so far. I see a cursor, but we'll let this boot up and see if it displays the proper amount. Yeah, so that's great. It displays 10 megabytes of RAM, which is the maximum that a Color Classic can do. Even though it should be 12, it's just maxing it out at 10 because that's all it allows. So thanks for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it. Maybe you can give me a like and subscribe, and we'll have some more videos coming out soon. We're back in business. I took a little hiatus for a while, but things are moving again.